It appears now we have a Trump voter who's feeling a little bit regretful for her vote in 2016. Now, the Associated Press is reporting that a woman who voted for Donald Trump in 2016 is now thinking, maybe that wasn't such a good idea because of what happened following that. Now, the person in question is Letty Stegall. Now, Letty Stegall is an undocumented immigrant who is married to an American citizen and Kansas City resident named Steve Seagal. That's not related to Steven Seagal, completely different people. Now, they have a 17-year-old daughter who is an American citizen, and now the AP did an in-depth profile of Letty, and in one part of the profile, the AP interviews Steve Seagal's mother, Shirley Stegall, about whether she regrets voting for Trump in 2016, and she says, absolutely. Quote, I've always been proud to be an American, but now I'm ashamed. Well, now, why are you ashamed? This is what you voted for, right? He said he was going to go after the undocumented immigrants. He's going to go after the illegal immigrants, and that's what he did. You see, after President Trump won, he started deporting more and more people, and one of those people happened to be Letty's daughter-in-law, who got deported back to Mexico. Oops. Now, again, this is what you voted for. Don't be surprised if what you voted for actually happens. It's sort of being like being surprised when your face gets eaten off by a panther. When you voted for the Panthers eating your face off party. At some point, you probably should have known. But no, Jeff, you don't understand. He talked about he's only going to go after the bad hombres. He's going to only go after the criminal aliens, right? The dangerous criminal aliens. Well, that is not true. That was a lie. In fact, according to data from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, there was a 41% increase in the number of undocumented immigrants who were arrested by the agency in 2017 compared to 2016. Now, why is there that much of an increase? It's not that because they were arresting more criminal aliens. No, the increase, according to reports from CNN, was actually driven by the agency arresting a significantly higher rate of immigrants without a criminal background. So, let me just clarify that for you. These are undocumented immigrants who are not criminal. They have no criminal background. They haven't committed any crimes, and yet ICE is like, we're going to sweep them up, and we're going to deport them. That's what you wanted us to do. That's what you voted for. Donald Trump said he was going to take the shackles off of ICE and have them deport people, and that's what he's doing. Now, the share of criminals arrested was up 17%. But get this. For that 17% increase of eliminating criminal undocumented immigrants, you had a tenfold increase of that in the share of non-criminals arrested. That is 171% an increase. That's amazing. 10 times more than the criminal undocumented immigrants. But again, you shouldn't be surprised. It's what he told us he was going to do. He wanted a deportation force, and guess what? He has one. It's called ICE. Hashtag abolish ICE. Now, Steve Stegall, who did not vote for Trump in 2016, told the AP that he has grown increasingly intolerant of the president's supporters, even when they admit that his wife shouldn't have been deported. Now, here's the thing, right? He says of the president, quote, he's destroying American lives, like his own. How can you do this? How can you do this to your own American people? So now, a lot of people might argue, but yeah, she was a criminal alien. That was his wife. They literally broke up that family. But again, he doesn't think that it's American families are being impacted. Look, he doesn't care about them either, and he doesn't think of these people as people. Even legal immigrants, right? They're going after legal immigrants now. It's not just illegal immigrants, legal ones. Now, Letty Stegall, however, does talk with her family in her new home in Mexico, and basically the only time that they're able to chat is video chat. Again, because she's been ripped away from her family, her husband and her child. She says she deeply misses her family and is baffled as to why she was targeted by ICE for deportation. She said, "They didn't take out the people who were dangerous. The murderers are still there. The gangsters are still there. The rapists are still there. But I'm not there. I've been deported. I'm in Mexico. I've been ripped apart from my family. But those people are still here." Well, here's the thing, right? She is right that the murderers, the gangsters, and the rapists are there. And guess what? By and large, they're not actually immigrants. For that, I go to a study published by the Libertarian Cato Institute back in February that examined criminal conviction data for 2015 provided by the Texas Department of Public Safety. Now, what they found is that native-born residents were much more likely to be convicted of a crime than immigrants in the country legally or illegally. So both legal and illegal immigrants commit less crime than native-born Americans, probably because they actually want to stay here. Now, the study said, and this is written by author Alex Narasta, he said, as a percentage of their respective populations, there were 56% fewer criminal convictions of illegal immigrants than of native-born Americans in Texas in 2015. The criminal conviction rate for legal immigrants was about 85% below the native-born rate. So, who's committing all the crimes? Somebody's out there doing the raping. Yes, it's native-born Americans. By and large, that's who is committing more of the crimes. All they can do is they can cherry pick a couple of examples in order to use this as a way to get rid of legal and undocumented immigrants, as a way to go after them. Now, there's another study here that was published back in March in the journal Criminology. Now, it looked at population-level crime rates. You ready for this? Now, the question they asked when they went into the study is, do places with higher percentages of undocumented immigrants have higher rates of crime, such as, for example, sanctuary cities, right? Well, the answer they found is no, a resounding no. Michael T. Light and Ty Miller, and by the way, if Michael Light was a doctor, Dr. Light, Mega Man reference. Anyway, I had to throw that in. Anyway, they wrote, states with larger shares of undocumented immigrants tended to have lower crime rates than states with smaller shares in the years 1990 through 2014. Increases in the undocumented immigrant population within the states are associated with significant decreases in the prevalence of violence. Now, the Washington Post also explains that while this may be chalked up to simple correlation, there are many factors beyond immigration that can affect the crime rate. However, when these authors ran a number of statistical analyses to more clearly isolate the effects of illegal immigration from those other factors, what they found is that, among other things, the relationship between the high levels of illegal immigration and low levels of crime persists even after controlling for various economic and demographic factors, such as age, urbanization, labor market conditions, as well as incarceration rates. In total, not one of their analyses showed any positive relationships between illegal immigration and crime. They concluded that not only does illegal immigration not increase crime, but it may actually contribute to the drop in overall crime rates observed in the United States in recent decades. Why? It's likely because a lot of these people are fleeing crime. They are fleeing poverty. They do want to work hard. They do want to stay here and become American citizens, or at least live in America where it is safer and where there is more opportunity. So, of course, they're not going to go out there and commit crimes. They're going to commit them at a much lower rate than native-born Americans because they're not afraid, or I should say the undocumented immigrants are afraid of deportation. Now, Light and Miller concluded that, quote, our study calls into question one of the primary justifications for the immigrant enforcement buildup. Any set of immigration policies moving forward should be crafted with the empirical understanding that undocumented immigration does not seem to have increased violent crime. Somebody needs to memo that shit to Trump and staple it on his forehead. More undocumented immigrants does not equal more crime. Again, for the people in the back. More undocumented immigrants does not equal more crime. Those aren't the only 2 studies out there that prove that. There are a multitude of studies that show that undocumented immigrants do not increase crime. And immigrants in general do not increase crime. The entire basis of Donald Trump's immigration plan is based on data that doesn't exist. It's based on a presumption that doesn't exist. That, undocumented immigrants, they come here and they're criminals and they're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people. And they're bringing drugs. No! And besides, there wouldn't be drugs here if there wasn't such a giant demand from Americans that are doing drugs. Maybe if you want to clamp down on the drug problem, maybe you should shut off that demand. You know how you do that? You legalize marijuana, for one, and you legalize other drugs. And we don't want to do that, though. We want to fight a stupid drug war. That's what we want to do. And then blame the immigrants for basically fulfilling a market need. Which, by the way, those are the actual criminals, the drug traffickers, things like MS-13, which is an incredibly, gigantically small, infinitesimally small portion of illegal immigration. Again, because as I've showed you, and as so many different studies have also proven, that it is not undocumented immigrants that are bringing crime. This is nothing more than red meat. It's meant to stir people up who have nobody else to blame for, disastrous policies enacted by neoliberals and conservatives. That's what this is. And it stirs people up into hating Mexicans. And look, this has real life consequences. Families get torn apart, destroyed, and sometimes people who are deported end up dying. So, if there's any message that I can give to this family, as terrible as their situation is, this is the result of your vote. So maybe next time, consider using it wisely. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.